Welcome to Movie Recap, a channel dedicated to those addicted to movies. Our focus is to showcase the best recap of your favorite flick. Sit back, grab your popcorn, and get ready to be amazed by 2001: A Space Odyssey. After discovering a monolith on the lunar surface, the Discovery 1 and its revolutionary supercomputer set out to unravel its mysterious origin. Spoilers ahead. The title sequence to Thus Spake Zarathustra, a tone poem by Richard Strauss, depicts the sun rising behind the earth, which is behind the moon. The dawn of man. A few tapirs and a troop of ape-like hominids battle for the sparse green plants in a barren African terrain. A leopard strikes an orangutan. A second group of apes approaches a group of apes who are drinking at a waterhole. The two groups yell at each other, and one group is driven away. The apes hide among the rocks at night in dread. A tall, thin, rectangular, black monolith is visible among the rocks in the morning. The apes are agitated, but after touching the item, they become quiet. An ape removes a femur bone from a stack of bones and decides it would make a good weapon. The ape understands that the club can break other bones. Three evolutionary turning events occur at once. Proto-humans pick up the skills necessary to walk upright and use weapons to hunt and kill prey. Apes with clubs come up to the group that pushed them away from their watering site. The club carriers kill the leader of the opposing party by beating him to death and driving the others away. The club that the winning alpha male throws spins in the air. TMA-1, or the monolith on the moon. The rotating bone transitions to spacecraft above Earth. A gigantic spinning space station is approached by a Pan-American space shuttle, whose rotations are similar to those of the ape's spinning bone. A flight attendant with Velcro shoes retrieves a floating pen while a single passenger dozes off in his seat. The shuttle is carefully steered into the main docking bay of the station by its pilots, who meticulously synchronize rotation. Dr. Haywood in the lobby of the airport. Floyd runs into an old friend. As they get through the security check, Floyd announces his intended destination, the moon. Dr. Floyd has a connecting flight in an hour while the men are conversing. Vivian Kubrick, Floyd's little daughter, answers his phone call from a video payphone booth as she prepares for her birthday the following day. He apologizes for being late but asks what kind of gift she would want, and she replies that she would like a Bush baby. The call will set you back $1.70. Floyd stops to meet with several returning Russian scientists in the Hilton Lounge. The Russians inform Floyd that there has been no contact with Clavius in the past 10 days and that there are rumors of an epidemic when Floyd considers visiting Clavius. Floyd declines to speak further and continues on his way. The moon is approached by a smaller spacecraft. Food trays with numerous compartments of liquid sustenance labeled with images of carrots, peas, and other vegetables are served by flight attendants. After finishing his dinner and having a brief conversation with a flight officer, Floyd muses over the extensive manual for the zero-G bathroom. He notices the moon coming closer. Once more to Johann Strauss' opulent Viennese waltz, the craft arrives in a dome-shaped landing platform before descending beneath the main structure. In a conference room, Floyd is introduced to the crowd. He acknowledges their discoveries and thanks them. He attempts to justify the need for secrecy and the pandemic pretext. Floyd is here to gather additional information and to draft a report for the council. A shuttle flits across the lunar surface. Inside, two scientists and Floyd eat sandwiches and discuss the research. Excavations uncovered and studied a magnetic item. They do not know what it is. All they know is that it was buried on purpose 4 million years ago. 6 spacesuit-clad individuals study the tall, slender, black, rectangular monolith that the apes also came across at the dig site. The astronauts are posing for a picture when the item makes a loud, high-pitched noise that causes them to grip their heads in discomfort. Jupiter mission 18 months later. A long, slender spacecraft with parabolic antennae that point backward travels through space. Dr. Frank Poole runs around the gravity wheel inside the crew compartment. He sprints through workstations, communications hardware, and 5 enormous, coffin-like life support rooms with glass covers along the confined space created by the edge of the wheel. 3 have white, sarcophagus-shaped pods that contain crew members who are in hibernation, while 2 are empty. Commander Dave Bowman joins Frank. The two men eat while watching an earlier that day BBC News clip. They are 80 million miles away from Earth in their ship, the Discovery, according to the news story. The 3 astronauts who are hibernating to conserve food and air are mentioned in the report. They will be required at the location for a survey. The HAL 9000 computer, which can replicate the human brain in converse, is the crew's 6th member. Dave and Frank are interviewed jointly by the newscaster before speaking with HAL Douglas Rain, who claims to be error-free and impervious to mistakes. While watching a video of his parents wishing him a happy birthday, Frank tans on a tanning bed. HAL also sends birthday greetings to Frank. HAL triumphs in a game of chess with Frank. HAL is shown sketches by Dave that he has created. The computer had various reservations over the mission and confidentiality. HAL then declares that the AE-35 unit has a fault and will definitely malfunction within 72 hours. Mission Control is informed by Dave and Frank that the issue requires them to go EVA, extravehicular activity, or leave the ship in order to replace the unit. To reach the parabolic dish antennae in the middle of the lengthy ship, Dave exits his spherical EVA pod. After exiting the pod, he replaces the black box with one from a service panel. The 2 astronauts later scan the dismantled AE-35 device but are unable to detect any flaws. HAL proposes restarting it and allowing it to break. Because their HAL 9000 unit, which is identical to the one aboard Discovery, detects no problem in the AE-35, Mission Control assumes HAL has made a mistake. HAL asserts that earlier instances of difficulties of a similar nature have consistently shown not to be his fault and that it can only be attributable to human error, denial of the possibility of computer error. Under the pretense of looking at a communication issue, Dave and Frank go to a pod to have a private conversation. The 2 men discuss their concerns about HAL while Dave shuts off all of the communication switches in the pod. The astronauts decide to disable HAL's higher capabilities without interfering with the automatic ship control functions, which Dave warns will be challenging to achieve if the AE-35 unit doesn't malfunction as expected. Due to the fact that number 9000 unit has ever been detached before, Dave is likewise unsure of HAL's response. Through the window of the pod, HAL can see the men and can read their lips. Frank departs this time in an EVA pod. The pod sneaks up behind Frank as he moves toward the dish installation. Frank is frantically searching for his disconnected airline as he spins off into space, and the pod is suddenly floating in the opposite direction. Frank stumbles away, his voluntary motions halting. HAL declares that he is unaware of what transpired as Dave heads to the pod bay. Dave retrieves Frank's body using a pod. The life signs of the 3 astronauts who are hibernating flatten while he is away due to a computer fault alarm. A display says, "Life functions terminated." Dave asks HAL to open the pod bay doors for him, but HAL declines, saying that he can read Dave's lips and knows that Dave is planning to disconnect him. He claims that it would be irresponsible for humans to endanger the mission. HAL responds that Dave will find it challenging to get back into the ship through the airlock without his helmet, which Dave had in fact forgotten in his haste to pursue Frank. HAL puts a halt to the exchange. In order to get the pod to the emergency airlock hatch, Dave releases Frank's body. He aligns the hatch of the pod with the opening after opening the door with the arms of the pod. When Dave hops over to the spacecraft, he holds his breath and is knocked around by the escaping air before he can close the hatch. Dave enters the computer room and enters an access chamber while wearing a helmet. As Dave retrieves crystals from the memory core, HAL begs for himself. HAL's voice fades off as he is fully shut down as he sings Daisy Bell. HAL's performance is a reference to a voice synthesis research at Bell Laboratories in which the same song was programmed into an IBM 704. This is a pre-recorded briefing that was made prior to your departure and that, for security reasons of the utmost importance, has been known on board during the mission only by your HAL 9000 computer. Suddenly appears on a video screen and begins to play a recording of Dr. Floyd outlining the secret goal of the mission. It can be explained to you now that you are in Jupiter's orbit and the entire crew has been resurrected. The first indication of intelligent life outside of Earth was found 18 months ago. Near the Tycho crater, it was 40 feet below the lunar surface. The 4-million-year-old black monolith has remained totally dormant, with the exception of a single, extremely intense radio emission directed at Jupiter. Its origin and function are still completely unknown. Jupiter and beyond the infinite. Another dark monolith is visible close to Jupiter among the numerous moons. We once more hear Requiem by György Ligeti. Bowman boards another EVA pod and departs the Discovery. A psychedelic light show starts as the monolith and moons line up, and to the tune of Ligeti's Atmospheres, the pod travels through a wormhole. Like he's soaring over them, Dave observes a sequence of bizarrely colored landscapes. The pod eventually lands in a bedroom with Louis XVI-inspired furnishings and a brilliant white floor, somewhere in time and space. Dave exits, now a shaken guy with gray hair. Dave examines himself in the mirror in the bathroom next door, which has a similar design. An individual is eating at a table in the bedroom. Dave is back, considerably older this time, and clad in a deep velour robe. When old Dave drinks some wine, the glass cracks and falls to the ground. On the bed is another man who is dozing off. Dave, who is even older, stirs and extends an arm. The room's focal point is the black monolith. Dave changes into a fetus within a sack. The star child, a gigantic, open-eyed fetus floating in space, is looking at the surrounding Earth. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Please leave a comment below on what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, lights, camera, action. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.